I'm rich. It's payday, fellas. I said it's fucking payday, motherfucker.
Murwillumbah, 22nd of November 1978. The day is a Wednesday, and it's the day the payroll comes in for the town. The town of Murwillumbah is quite rural, mainly farming, different vegetables, sugarcane and milk.
Let me drink some of this milk.
Cattle farming and stuff like that. The payroll for the town arrives every second Wednesday, and being 1978, it was just cash. A lot of cash. Around 1.7 million, which is like 8.8 million in today's money after inflation. Delivered in an armoured transport truck to the bank in the centre of town, located along the main street. The transport truck with the cash had 5 armed guards inside to protect the contents, then arriving at the bank, boxing all the cash in plastic and cardboard boxes, and placing it in the bank's strong room, a Chubb vault. The bank itself at the time was a Bank of New South Wales, which is pretty much now just Westpac. The day went on as every other day did, and then the bank closed for the night. Or did it? Also subscribe. I want to hit 100 because, yeah, I don't know. At 7:30 AM the next day, a security guard arrived at the bank to do his morning routine, having a look around and making sure the place is still secure. But he found the back door to the bank left open. The security guard thought this was weird, obviously, so he alerted the police and the bank's management. Once the police and staff got there, however, they found some weird things. On the vault door, the combination dials and the vault's handle had been removed. This was a big sign that something was wrong, apart from the back door being open. They also found a 1 by 1 meter hole cut in the ceiling of the bank, which is also not a good sign. The bank's staff went to open the vault, but oh no, the vault door's jammed. I don't know how they tried to open it without the dial or handles, but whatever. So they had to call in professionals to open it, people from the actual Chubb Safe company, and other specialists to try and open it, but to no avail. This vault door was jammed, really jammed, so much so that they eventually had to get council workers in with jackhammers to literally break through the vault door instead. Once they made a hole big enough, one of the bank's staff poked their head into the vault and said, and I quote, "They got the lot." Everything in the vault had been taken. The vault was empty. And that quote, "they got the lot," after all this became somewhat of a meme around the town, even being put onto t-shirts for people to buy. Now, apart from the back door being left open, a hole in the ceiling, and pieces of the vault like the dial and handle missing, nothing else was amiss. Everything was still neat and tidy, almost like no one had even been there. But how did this happen? Well, it's been 47 years since the heist took place, and was and still is the largest cash heist to have taken place in Australia.
That's a knife.
So after police took reports and did a lot of investigating, the way the heist went down has been worked out, but no real suspects have ever been found or caught. In the early morning of Thursday, the 23rd of November, right after the $1.7 million payroll was delivered, a group dubbed the Magnetic Drill Gang forced open the bank's back door, gaining access to the building. They then approached the bank's vault and with expert precision drilled a small hole above the vault's tumbler dials, without the drill breaking. They probably had the Kickstarter perk aced. Using the small hole they drilled, they then stuck a medical cystoscope. I think that's how it's pronounced, inside the hole to see the inside of the vault's mechanisms, seeing where the internal gates of the lock line up, and using the combination dial on the outside of the vault to open the door without hassle. Once inside the Chubb vault, they took, as the bank staff member said, the lot. all $1.7 million in the town's payroll money, and possibly more. Some reports mention that the vault also had jewelry and other valuables, which isn't true. And why would they even have that? It's not Payday 2, as much as I'm trying to make it seem like it. Before the gang left, they then took off the vault's combination dial and handle. That's why they were gone when the police arrived. And that hole they cut in the ceiling, investigators believe they had cut this into the ceiling as an emergency escape route, which they didn't even need. Maybe they left the building using that anyway. No one really knows, as no one was ever arrested for this and there were no real suspects. And it might not have even been the magnetic drill gang anyway. Now, theory time. There is one person who police believe to have been involved in the heist, for good reason, and I'll get into that person soon. But some people suspect it may have been some other random group of professionals who pulled off the heist, but that theory doesn't really hold much weight. What could have some weight though is police corruption. This was the late 70s, so it's not unlikely that there was something like that going on, but also no evidence of that. The group who did this, people think it is the magnetic drill gang. They hit a few places around Australia and made good money doing it, as they were extremely stealthy and professional when hitting their targets, the same way the Murwillumbah Bank was hit. And their leader, a man named Graham the Munster Kinniburgh. Called the Munster because apparently he looked like a character from a TV show called The Munsters. But this guy is extremely interesting, and also an expert in safe cracking, and had a deep understanding of Chubb vaults and safes, and also had a reputation for non-violent and technically sophisticated jobs. Though he never faced any charges, as there was little to no evidence that he even did it, he died in December of 2003. There is a few other details that helped police put together a timeline. The night before, at around 9:45 PM, people reported a van driving around the bank, back and forth, and then parking near the back of the bank, close to the alleyway where the back door was located. At around 10:30 PM, well after the bank had closed, but two separate reports were sent to police. These reports stated that 3 men were hanging around near the back alley of the bank, again near the door that the gang had forced open and entered the bank through. And then at 1:30 AM, a woman reported hearing loud bangs and weird sounds coming from close to the bank, from the main street. These reports, and the lack of police actually doing anything while these reports were being made, had led a lot of people to speculate that the police were somewhat involved.
Alright.
There was a $250,000 reward for anyone to come forward with actual information, but no one ever did. And yeah, again, after all this, the robbery became somewhat of a meme around the town, with t-shirts being made and a band naming a song after the heist. But with all that said, that was the largest cash heist in Australian history without people getting caught. There have been bigger heists, but that was like gold and different valuables, and people got caught. No one ever got caught for this one. Thanks for watching.
Whoever gets their penis inside the cow first wins a handful of Smarties.